peace of mind when this old world seems to get me down.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome back to the third and final segment of the Cajun Conservative Show today. As I always play that song, ladies and gentlemen, because when we have trials and tribulations or we hear bad news, guess what? He is still on the throne. So, and that's a friendly reminder. And thanks to Mr. Lanny Hayes for allowing me to use that song. Like I said, great guy. He's my dad, so I gotta give him credit sometimes. Without further ado, though, as we talked about in other segments of the show, earlier segments of the show, we have Mr. Kieth Dalton. He is the Pickin Preacher. And also the Pickin Preacher, and the pack. Hey, you packing though, huh? You Second Amendment guy. I hope you know.
There you go, yes sir.
The Pickin Preacher, and also pastor in Mississippi, a real good friend of mine, and a small business owner. Kieth, what's happening, man?
Man, nothing much. Just like I said, I'm just busy.
Oh no, not us. Not being full-time workers and ministers. Come on, we're never busy.
No, not at all.
So how's everything in Mississippi? I know you have at the time of this recording, you have a big election coming up.
Yeah.
So you going? I hope you go and vote.
I'm still, you know how I am. I just want to make sure somebody's solid. So.
Right. Well, your incumbent governor over there has done a great job for the state of Mississippi. So hey, at least he's doing something good.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, man. The reason we first off we were acquainted way before we were YouTubers.
That's right.
I think when we met originally, I was just a podcaster. I wasn't a YouTuber yet. But a few weeks ago,
that's right.
a few months now, I seen you start your YouTube channel. You started picking for a living. You used to be a landscaper. But you're a small business owner. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on in your end on that side?
Yeah. So, you mentioned landscaping. I had a landscaping business for 10 years, and I hurt my back real bad. And I'll tell you what, overhead was horrible. So, it was killing me financially, and equipment breakdowns and all that stuff. And I started reselling on the side, just like electronics, clothes, shoes, go garage sales. And I started noticing it was making pretty good income, and it gave me more freedom of time because I'm a pastor of a small church, and the landscaping was keeping me so busy. Pastor of the church, I would be late. That's not good.
No.
And some like evangelism or something like if there's some kind of event, I'm some things I might not even be able to do, just because it would keep me so busy, especially when the weather was bad, and then I would have to catch up. And so I just wanted to make more time for that and for my family. And so I ended up selling all of my equipment, and I just went into full-time reselling, and that's been since November of last year. So, so I love it. It's not hurting my back anymore, other than picking up big boxes, but I'm able to be here with my family. I'm able to, answer phone calls. And also I can set my schedule. Like if I'm behind, I can work at night. I couldn't do that, landscaping. I'd have to get, up before the sun came up, and I had, I couldn't see, basically I wouldn't see my kids. I would leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 6, but usually about 5. And we'd go get gas, go get everything loaded up, get to the first commercial job so that we could be early. And then by the time I got home, we were eating, I was so, beat. And I would take a shower, and I would sit down for maybe a few minutes, but I was so tired. I would pass out on the couch or the floor sometimes, and then I would go to bed at like 8. And so I never saw my kids really, or my wife, and it was like that every day. And so that's why I started doing this, and it's been great, man. It's I would say not making as much right now, but it's starting to make it's starting to do pick up and do pretty well, especially right now.
Now, in your YouTube channel, you deal mostly with video games though too.
That's right.
Because I've been part of I've been in the live chat of a lot of your live streams, and you have a lot of people that are knowledgeable about video games and vintage games. of back in the day. My generation was Super Nintendo. That was my first game that I played when I was a young man.
Yeah. So I mean, you can see in the back, like you can see here and then over here. So I have all kinds of stuff. I never would have thought, but the business has kind of brought up, like you said, back in my day. So it brought up nostalgia for me, and so I would find these games, and so that's why I have back there. I have that. I call it my investment pile, but it's it's a collection. But it's two things. It's something I can share with the kids. What did you do when you were younger? And so they get to play those games. And so when they're older, they can do whatever they want with it. But you also see stacks of stuff of games. That is my main focus. I would probably say 90% of what I sell is video game or toys, something, mostly video games, consoles. But I do sell like shoes and clothes and electronics, anything to make a buck off of it if it has a good sell-through rate.
And that leads me to, because people might be listening to this. Isaac, you're the Cajun conservative. You're talking about video games. What's the political side of this? You're a small business owner. I work for, some people will label my boss now, and my dad. I used to work with my dad. Small business owners. BGS Media here is starting to ramp up. We're expanding every day. Awesome. We're all small business owners here. And I see their side of it for the construction and, landscaping. My brother's a landscaper. I see it on that side as well. But as a picker, how does the economy, how does the economy affect you? Because, if people like video games, but if they don't have money in the bank, how do you cope with that type of economy we have right now?
Yeah. So, very good question. So I've only been in it, like I said, full time for a year. So I'm still kind of learning that. I will tell you this: in the summer, because this is new to me, I wasn't expecting. Summer was miserable. I went from, I think average 90 day, was it 90 days? Yeah. Average 90-day sales was like 20,000, something like that. And it plummeted in the summer down to 10,000. And I'm just now building it back up. And, because all the previous days, it's still holding on from all my bad days.
Right.
So now it's starting to pick up. It's still not where it was like last year, but it definitely hit. And I think it's multiple things, at least for my business, is me learning like what to focus on in different seasons. That's kind of the thing, because the summer, a lot of people are going vacation. They're going to want something more vacation material, is that the right word? You know what I mean?
Summer vibes.
Yeah. So games though, and so Christmas coming up, people love games. I think it's like 78% of Americans play video games on a regular basis, which is pretty crazy. Which, even though I sell video games, that can be, we're talking about conservative. I mean, I can see the issue, and I know some people didn't like that I was selling games, but I can see the issue because there are a lot of kids obsessed, and there's a lot of horrible games out there, and so I can understand some of that. But yeah, anyways, I would say it's picking up right now because of the time of year, but it's definitely not as good as it was last year. So I've had to make a lot of improvisations of like sourcing and how I source, and I've had to cut margins to get more items, and I'm doing things a little differently. Like now I'll sell some stuff in bulk to other resellers, and like there's some major companies I'll sell off, like a huge bulk off to, like there's a company called DK Oldies, and I sold like just a whole bunch. You ever heard of the console Nintendo Wii?
Yep.
So I sold like 7 of them, and then like, I don't know, like 50 games. They have specific ones, but so I cut my margins a little, but it's faster. I'm learning to have to sell faster, and before margins were better because sell-through was fast, or turnover was fast, but it's not as good as it was. You got to wait for right buyers. So I more so try to sell to resellers as much as I can. So just in anytime the economy's bad, you got to figure it out. I've just started buying other things. I'm not just, I got so focused on games, but I'm doing other stuff as well.
And you're basically be more like a retail setting because you have to have the inventory in there, but that inventory does not move
That's right.
right away. So that's where you have to, you have to go ahead and figure out, hey, what's gonna move at that time? Because stores do that. They run sales and all that. So.
Yeah. And that's So I do that too. Like, I'll go on different platforms and I'll make deals to people. But the good thing is, since I'm out of debt, so it's always good to be out of debt, right?
Yeah.
So, I can.
Dave Ramsey's would really love you right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So it's a really good thing, and so, like, a lot of people right now are like, man, I'm not selling, so I'm able to buy from them, and they're happy. So, like, there's like 3 different people across the country I'm buying bulk from. And I'm spending a lot of money, but that's what you have to do. So I'm thankful that I'm out of debt, so I can do that.
Now I got a question about this, because you say you team up with other sellers. I see it on your live stream all the time with YouTube. You have different channels come in. A few of the guys that you hang out with, they subscribe to us on the Cajun Conservative Show.
Oh, for real? That's
yeah,
awesome.
about 4 or 5 of them for sure.
That's cool.
The Rushmore podcast, I think it is.
Yeah, really good guys.
They subscribed, and I've subscribed to them.
And they're Christians. They're solid. I met them, and they love the Lord. They're in ministry, actually.
And that's what I was about to ask you with this community, the Pickin community. I guess are they like the conservative community? Because look, I'm gonna give shout outs to my friends, Culper's Canteen Cubs. We have Calderese Unleashed, the Mike Wright podcast, Scott Ford from the Scott Ford Show with the Rumble. We all tight. We text all the time. You get what I'm saying? We text news stories. We talk about things. Are y'all like that? Are y'all tight knit like that, or what?
So, yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna, I'll word it the best way I can. Not everybody's Christians. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, same in my industry.
I was actually shocked. There was actually a lot of Christians, but because it's video games and they're trying to push a liberal agenda on a lot of games, I was actually shocked how many people were fed up with that. In fact, there's a company called Limited Run, and they make like rare games that they fired somebody because the person was like I don't even remember, such a big deal. They like made some statement on their personal social media about Trump, how they like Trump, and how they were against I don't like the transgender story hour, drag queen story hour or something. I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, you finally go.
Okay, so and anyways, they fired the guy. Was it a guy? I can't remember exactly.
They censored him basically.
Do what?
They censored him basically.
Well, no, they fired him.
Right.
Or her. I can't remember if it's a guy or girl. But anyways, a lot of the people in the game community actually boycotted them. Wow. And now resellers, there's definitely a lot of conservative people. One of the reasons is because of fiscal reasons. They're entrepreneurs. It's so I would absolutely say so. And I've met a lot of Christians. We might have some different theology, but I would say so. There's definitely, though, because like there's just like anything, there's definitely some people that are not at all. And I don't really, I'm nice to everybody, but I would say I'm pretty tight knit with a lot, because I'm in reseller. I have a reseller accountability group, and then I have another one with content creators for games and stuff, and we're pretty tight knit. So.
Yeah, and then especially on YouTube, or in my case, Rumble and YouTube, it's always nice to have them people you can always call and say, hey, look, what do you think about this? Or hey, what's your advice on this right here? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I definitely have that. It took a while to get there, but that's just like anything. You start doing it, and you just start meeting more people that are in the space.
Yeah, and you get to know, you get opportunities to also go on platforms. You get what I'm saying? I bet you never thought you'd be on a conservative podcast talking about video games.
Not talking about video games. I figured I would eventually, just being the pastor of a church, and you've had some people that I know that have been on here and for preaching and stuff. So, it's actually opened up a lot of doors too for me, because, as you know, and without going all into that, I've been pretty, what's the word, polarized. I've been very polarizing person with street preaching. But it's actually opened up a lot of doors. People are seeing I'm just a normal laid back guy. And I've gotten a chance to get on some pretty worldly, pretty rough podcasts and share my faith. Nothing huge, but there's one in South Mississippi, and they had me on and wanted to share. He asked me to share my testimony, and I thought that was really cool. And same thing as sharing about games, and yeah, so it's been pretty cool.
And it's funny how God works. You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
funny how
yeah.
God works because look, on this podcast, you know, brothers just searching our sister podcast here, BGS Media. That, you know, that's the gospel. We Bible study, we talk about certain topics, and
Yeah.
you would expect somebody to listen to that and say, look, we want to know more about their faith. But a political podcast like this, you'd be
Yeah.
surprised, Keith, how much time that I come on there and I talk about the Lord, and I get
Yeah.
the emails or I get the comments on YouTube or Rumble saying, listen, that was encouraging, that was a blessing, and,
Wow,
you
that's
know,
awesome.
God, you know this, and I probably half of my audience knows, but a lot of people put God in a box. And there's a
Absolutely.
lot of Christians out there that'll say, well, God can't use politics, or he can't
That's right,
use
yeah.
a gaming preacher or the
That's
Pickin
right,
Preacher
yeah.
to win souls. But it's funny how God opened doors for us to share our faith on all these platforms.
Yeah, that's actually, so when I started it, one of the things is that I had kind of a fear of man, you know, because I was in a circle and I didn't want people to think, you know, oh, he's not holy, you know, he's doing video games, and so I ended up starting the channel, and I was praying. I was like, God, I really want to just be used. And one thing I just want to encourage people, you know, even outside of faith, I want to be, you know, like help people, even if they don't want to come to the Lord. I want to help them better themselves. I don't think that's wrong. And it's crazy. I did a video. I'll have to send it to you. It was kind of my testimony. And when that one came, I was flooded with people that aren't Christians. And they were like, man, I was in tears. Something you said, man, it hit me. And I want to know more. And there's one guy I've been witnessing to, and he sent me a private message and said, man, I was in tears. I don't know what was going on, but something you said really, man, that was pretty powerful. And I was talking about turning from sin, and I was talking about just the grace and mercy of Christ to save me. None of us are worthy of eternal life, but he still died to set us free if we would put our trust in him. And I was talking about he's the only way. I talked about heaven. I talked about hell. And I was shocked. I got like agnostics and you know, people that are definitely not Christians, just whatever, you know,
Yeah.
were telling me that they've never heard it gospel presented that way. I was like, wow, it's kind of a shame to us, you know, to think that, like, why aren't we as Christians sharing that, you know? But yeah, using video games, and the channel, like you said, your channel is more political. It's not focused on your faith, but the thing is your faith is going to be demonstrated in everything you do. And that's something, you know, I've tried telling people. It's like, I don't have to force my faith. I can show people who I am, and because Christ lives in me, the light will shine. And it's been a huge opportunity, and it's humbled me a lot, because I've met a lot of Christians that I probably would have looked down on. I'll just be honest. I would have looked down on before, and I've been real humbled by it. So it's been a huge blessing for me.
So going forward, you know, like you said, you got the Christmas season coming up. You're gonna have a lot of games going out. What can people find if they contact you and say, look, Keith, we want a certain game or so?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of games out there that are rare, that are still in houses that people don't know they have.
That's
You know,
right.
how, you know, if somebody's asking for specific games or a specific console, how do they go ahead and get with you and they buy that from you?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you can I'm on Instagram. I'm on, you know, YouTube. You can contact me on there, and just search the Pickin Preacher. And I have an email, thepickinpreacher@gmail.com. And yeah, and I can hook you up. And I don't have, you know, obviously I don't have everything. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
Can I say something on that?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
I would also if anybody that has stuff like games, if they do have old or even old toys, anything like that, as a reseller, something I've learned is to find value in everything you have. And if you have like old toys, old games, I would take it and look it up, and don't just sell to a major retail. I would contact people online, contact forums, and like find a Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, and join groups. Like, let's say you have Nintendo, join Nintendo groups, and there's people that will buy, and they'll pay you a higher value. So if you do have anything, you'd be shocked. You can resell on the side. It doesn't have to be a full time. Most people don't resell full time. Most people are part time, and so like you could do it if you wanted to. You can go to on Saturday.
I might have to do that, but man, man, I played flag football last weekend with my youth group. Right now, I'm hurting, and it was hard to go up and down that truck. No, but I got one question to ask you. What's the rarest game you ever found, or what's the rarest item you ever found? It's probably in that collection in the back, huh?
No, actually. So that's what got me collecting, because I'm just being honest. I thought when I first got into this, I was like, man, these 40-year-old men, these dorks, and here I am back here. I used to make fun of that. Once again, God humbled me. But once I started finding stuff, I got real like, wow. I haven't found anything super well. I have one thing back here. It's an Atari Jaguar, and I found an Atari Jaguar. It was back in the 90s, and the machine itself is like, now it's not as valuable as some other stuff I found, but it's super rare. No one ever finds these. The machine is like $400, and I found it in a shed, somebody's shed. They pulled it out, and it was nasty. It had like roaches, and I opened it up and I cleaned it. It is turning on. I have to order some parts, so I'm going to get it fixed. But and then I found a house. I went into a house when I first got into this, and this is when it was all resale for me. I used to, when I was landscaping, I would do house cleanouts. You ever heard of trash outs?
Right, yeah.
Like, evicted home. Well, I went in there, and there was boxes full of, I knew they were rare games. It was like role-playing games back on Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1 and 64, and they were all in the boxes. They were all in meticulous condition, and I went, oh, wow. And so I gave my bid to get the job to clean everything out, and I said, hey, if I don't win this bid, can I buy these games? And he said, you can have them right now.
Wow.
I said, no, man, I'm just being real with you. This stuff's valuable. And so he said, I don't care. I was like, no, it's valuable. I don't think you understand. He said, take it. So I took everything. I took offers on everything, and I probably profited $3,500 to $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just left in a house sitting in boxes. And so that's what a lot of people don't realize. I went into somebody's attic once at a garage sale, and I bought a whole bunch of G.I. Joes for like $400. Same thing. I made like $3,000 on it.
Wow.
And so, it's crazy.
You wouldn't be surprised. You'd be surprised what people don't know the value of certain things, and they're not into it. You get you know, hey, if you see a certain game, I'm trying to think of a game right offhand. It'll probably be the baseball game that I saw one. I remember I seen one of your videos. I was like, I had that game, and now I don't know where it's at. But it wasn't MLB.
Was it NCAA 2K14?
No. Correction. Okay, it wasn't. I thought it was N64. It was Ken Griffith Jr. on Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had that game growing up.
Yeah.
And I had it for the longest time. I don't know where that game is at. I need to find it. Then I get in touch with you.
Well, I think Ken, there is. I turned my phone off. There was a Ken Griffey. It was either 64. Is that what you're talking about, or Super Nintendo? Because there was one that was actually really, really valuable. A lot of sports games aren't that valuable, but there's a few that are really valuable.
It was for Super Nintendo. I remember it was a square. Because I remember blowing into it growing up. Remember when you blew into it to make it work better?
Yeah. Yep, I definitely know about the blowing.
I'm showing my age right there. Bro, I'm
Oh,
sure.
look, I'm 30. I'm 37. I think I'm 30. Am I 37?
Oh, I'm 31, man.
I'm older than you, man.
But Keith, if you want to go ahead and again, say any last words before we end this interview in this episode. But thank you for coming on. That I'll say, after this again. But man, it's a real pleasure having you on. But yeah, any last words for the people of the Cajun Conservative Nation?
Yeah. If anybody is signing in the first time and you like conservative information, conservative podcasts, you should subscribe.
Yeah,
you should subscribe to the to the Cajun Conservative and follow his stuff. So I'm subscribed. So
do you like the show, man? Do you like this Cajun
man.
flair?
I've come on a few times and I've enjoyed it. So
Awesome. And now look, Scott Ford from the Scott Ford Show would kick me in my rear end if I didn't ask you. Do you like Angry Isaac?
I don't know about who.
Angry Isaac. When I
Oh, you said Angry Isaac?
Yeah, Angry Isaac. Yeah.
I thought you said anger.
No.
Do I like Angry Isaac?
Remember, Scott listens to this. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I'm recognizing that. Where you get real angry?
Yeah, well, I get very angry sometimes. I live in the world of politics, though, man.
Yeah. Well, cause see, I just found you not long ago, and so I don't know because I've seen a few of your lives with people, but I haven't seen you get angry. I'll have to watch more stuff. So.
I'm opening up a can of worms right there.
He don't want you getting angry.
No, he likes it when I get angry. If you listen, Scott says he loves it when he gets angry, and I always mess with him about that. He calls me Angry Isaac when I get mad. I'll send you a short from YouTube when I call this country a mess, and you're gonna see. So, but
it is right now, man.
Yeah,
There's so much craziness right now.
But hey, as I always say at the end of the show, greatest heat is in us than heat is in the world. You get what I'm saying?
Amen.
So, because our faith is, like you said, everything we do, our faith is shown, and that's what I like about your channel. I like about your family, and what I try to do here is try to show Christ as much as possible.
Yeah, amen.
And a lot of times, a lot of people say, Isaac, you get mad. I say, I'm not mad. I'm passionate, but. When you get that righteous anger, you're like, how could this keep on going?
It's okay to be mad. As long as you don't let the sun go down on your anger.
Yes, sir. And I tell you, I got to drink a lot of Dr. Pepper for it to go.
Oh, man.
But Keith, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it, and we're going to do this again soon, man.
For sure, man. I had fun. Definitely. I'll have to have you on sometime. So.
Anytime, my brother. Let me know when and where.
Definitely, man.
All right, everybody. That was the Pickin Preacher, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kieth Dalton. He's a pastor also in Mississippi. I should have asked him for the church, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get that next time from him. But until then, this is going to end the episode of the Cajun Conservative Show. Remember that Jesus Christ is King. He's coming back, and he's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. If you want to know Jesus, your Lord and Savior, reach out to me at thecajunconservative5@gmail.com. I'll tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. Remember to subscribe and to follow on all the platforms. It helps me out more than you know. If you have the option, give me a 5-star review on the platform, on the podcast platforms. That helps get the show out. So until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. Remember again, Jesus Christ is King, and he's coming back. So be cheer, be happy. The Lord is in control. Until next time, be blessed. You have a good one.